Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about the piece of advice that nobody actually uses to get rich. We're going to talk about the overrated trends in business right now, and we're going to rip it apart. And we're actually going to talk about how to use large language models to build your one-person business. Question one. If a one-person business opened ChatGPT tomorrow, what should they actually point it at first, and where are they probably going to point it instead? Well, look, man, interesting question. So if you're a one-man, one-woman shop, and whether you got a product or a service to sell, ChatGPT can really help you out. Or Claude or Gemini, whatever your flavor is, they're all kind of the same these days. Maybe one gets a little bit better than the other one week, and then next week the other one's better. But with all that being said, if you're in a small business, the only thing that really matters is sales, right? You got to get conversations and do conversations. If you're a one-to-one salesperson and your job is to sell insurance, it's to sell real estate, it's to sell a service, financial services, accounting, whatever it is, your one and only job is to get conversations and do conversations. So everything that you use ChatGPT for shouldn't be like, how do I create the next big app? Or how do I create the next big social media? Or it should be like, I'm an accountant. I need more business tomorrow. Where can I market? Where can I advertise? What should I say in order to get some eyeballs and attention to be able to get some more sales and get some appointments at least to start to talk to some people and build that? So like we talked about in the past, in any of my marketing videos, in business, you can only sell a product or service, right? And there's only three ways to sell a product or service, which is one-to-one, one-to-many, or on display as like a merchant, on a shelf, on a wall somewhere, whatever. Like you got a t-shirt for sale, you probably wouldn't do a whole stadium pitch to sell a t-shirt, right? You could probably just toss it up on the wall and some people would buy it. So with that being said, everything you should be using your AI for is to help you to be able to market and sell your products and services. Now, what do most people do? Well, already they're trying to create funny apps. They're trying to do stuff that has nothing to do with their current business. And I get it. As entrepreneurs, we all have like, shiny object syndrome. We all have this ADD of like, oh my God, check this out. Or look at what I could do with this. Or look at what I could do that. I remember back in the day, when I was building my karate school, it was like really starting to take off and things were going really well for me. I started a supplement brand because I was really into like greens and I wanted to have like little greens pills, like, kale and spinach and cucumber, like chopped up into little powders or whatever. You could just pop a pill in, you wouldn't have to do juicing, you wouldn't have to do this stuff. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I remember my dad at one point, he was like, dude, focus on the thing that's making you money today instead of trying to focus on this next thing. Now, there might be a point in your career where you have multiple focuses, but if you're a one-man, one-woman shop, and I would argue you don't need multiple focuses, you need one focus. Use ChatGPT, use Claude, use Gemini to help you sell more of your products and services. What's a piece of advice that you hear constantly from people who never actually used it to get to where they are? God, this is one of my biggest pet peeves on the planet. No matter who the motivational speaker is or life coach or business coach or marketing expert or guru or whatever, a lot of them give advice that they didn't themselves use. This is my big beef with Robert Kiyosaki. Guy's kind of a jerk in person and he's kind of a jerk in general. But one thing that was called out early on in his career was like, hey, what came first, your black card or your book? Like, did you get rich and then teach people how to get rich? Or did you write a book to become rich? And a lot of these gurus out there who sell this advice, they sell advice that they didn't use themselves. And I hate to rag on like anybody out there, but I mean, look, the Susie Ormans, the Dave Ramseys, whatever, these guys are incredibly wealthy. And a lot of the advice that they give, they don't themselves use. This is my only beef with Tony back in the day, is that when Tony released the Unshakable book and his Money Mastered the Game, it's a brilliant freaking book. It's a research book. He went out and interviewed 50 billionaires to figure out like, hey, what made you rich? How did you do this? What made it work? But he's giving the advice in this book. He's like, he's not directly saying it. He's saying it through these billionaires. Like they're saying, here's how you invest and here's how you do asymmetrical returns and all this stuff, which it all sounds like good advice, but Tony didn't get rich that way. Like Tony figured out how to sell. He figured out how to stand up on a stage and influence an entire audience and make changes in people. And he learned his psychology. Like he was basically a therapist. He figured out how to sell therapy to the masses. And that was a brilliant business model. And for him, that's how he got rich. He got rich in selling courses and DVDs and tapes and seminars and books or whatever. And then he turned that money in. Obviously, he didn't become ultra wealthy by selling personal development stuff. We all think that, don't we? But the guy's got 300 different businesses now doing like $12, $15 billion a year. The seminar business is his smallest business. But I have an issue anytime someone gives advice that they themselves didn't use. Now, you can always give that as a caveat. Say, hey, look, I think this is good advice. I did not personally use this advice. I did not personally do this. I never want to coach or teach something that I haven't done myself. It's just like part of me. I have a little class that I teach on AI for some of these young guys and gals who are getting started trying to build like a little AI agency, marketing agency, kind of like I have. And I just tell them, I'm like, look, guys, anything that I tell you to do, like I'm going to go do. If I tell you to go do Upwork, I'm going to go do Upwork and I'm going to try and scramble and deal with all the BS that's on the platform and all that stuff before I teach it to anybody, because I want to know that it works. I don't want to tell someone like, hey, you should go do this thing that I've never tried before. Like that's silly, right? So I have a big pet peeve with anybody giving advice that they didn't personally use. And the internet is flooded with it now. The amount of people on YouTube here that tell me how to run a YouTube channel who they themselves have a big YouTube channel, or they tell me advice that they don't use themselves, or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever else. I just got a big pet peeve with that. Hey, Steven, what's the most overrated trend in business right now? In one sentence, rip it apart? Oh, God. I don't know about these questions that are like, what do you do? And how do you tell everyone they're stupid? Not exactly my favorite cup of tea. I do like to say, I told you so. I do like to be right, but I would probably say the most overrated trend right now in business is selling ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini wrappers and claiming that they made their own AI thing. So there's a lot of gurus out there. There's a lot of business owners that are like, I made AI. I created my own AI. I built this new AI software, this new AI system. And no, they didn't. They just wrapped ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini into their own little thing. And they probably used ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to program it. So they didn't even build it themselves. They use AI to use AI to use AI to say that, oh, look, I made this, right? It's like a funny little picture I saw on Facebook the other day where someone was like, they go to the pizza restaurant, they order a pizza and they're like, I made this for you. It's like, no, you ordered the pizza, dude. That's not what it is. So the most overrated trend right now is somebody trying to resell AI and pass it off as their own software, their own thing, their own deal. And it's just stupid, man. I mean, come on. People are going to wisen up to it at some point. Now, are there some chatbots out there that are programmed pretty well? Are there some custom GPTs that are programmed pretty well? Yeah, of course there are. Are there some that are helpful? Yes, of course. I've created some of my own. They're pretty cool. But I would never claim to say like, this is my proprietary AI software. There's only like 4 or 5 AI businesses in the United States, and everything is built on those infrastructures, right? So anybody who's going to go out there and start claiming that they made their own proprietary AI, it's just bullshit. Come on, it's silly. So listen, I'm kind of enjoying this Q&A session. If you've got questions, go ahead, drop them below in the comments, and I'll record the next video with your questions here. I'm making these for you. If you're watching my crazy ass rants, I want to make sure that I give back to you in any way that I can possibly do and just give you some of the advice and stuff that I've learned over the years throughout my businesses from my coaches and mentors and all of that good stuff. So please go ahead, drop your comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.